Welcome to owning a Grand Caravan. If it isn't one of the window regulators breaking, it is this thing breaking now. Oh yeah, it's got cable. Oh no, don't do that. Oh man, it's trying to close the door. So yeah, it was making all sorts of racket. I could tell that this push-pull cable system, similar to what they use in the window regulators, has lost its tension or something, and came off. It probably just bound up a little bit, got sticky or something. I'm sure it just lost its tension and came off a pulley or something. I'm guessing. I haven't even taken this apart yet, but I bet you the spool that winds it, unwinds it is all tangled up now. Okay, taking these three 10mm head bolts out of this bracket here off the door. It gets the door off of the bracket. Had to use a tool to pop the trim off a little bit. Taking these two 10mm nuts off right here, we'll disconnect the latch, which is cable driven from inside the door, and then taking this one big TORX head bolt off with this T40 or whatever, disconnected this, the push-pull system, which is what is going to be jacked up. So if you didn't want to fix all this, didn't want to put the money in it, I'm sure if you just disconnected this, cut it out of the way and bolted it back together, you'd be able to use the door in manual mode. Looks like these 4 bolts, 2, 3, 4, I'm going to take them out next. I imagine it's going to drop out there. Sorry I'm not filming this entire thing along the way, but I'm going to run out of daylight. When the door is connected, it holds it square and it not come out. But once the door is unhooked, you just lift this up and the whole thing comes out. Just I pulled the door seal out to get more room here. This is now exposed, and it looks like with these bolts loose, this is kind of falling down on the sensor here and the wire, so I'm going to pull that stuff out of the way next. Moving that sensor and getting this wire out and flip it out of the way. Now I got room here. I realize now there is a 5th bolt underneath the carpet right there, and it looks like the mechanism is not loose. And I'm sure I'm going to need 2 hands, but I can see the motor assembly, and as suspected, it's just like a big push-pull assembly, just like they use on the window regulators. And the same thing that happens to those is probably what happened to this. Okay, it looks like pushing this in this way, you get the back out first, and there's an electrical plug. I just got the door propped open, and I'm about to get it out, and there it is. All right, guys, I figured this out as I went on the fly. So there's your instructions to get the regulator out, or what do you want to call it, the drive motor for the power side doors on this dang Dodge Grand Caravan. So basically, not too bad. I think I did it in about 15-20 minutes. To take this cap off, this motor spool, I'm afraid of what I'm going to see here, but I think it's going to be all chomped up. And it is. It really did a number. But sometimes I could get lucky. Okay, I just lifted the spool out. Comes out this way. Cable on the left here went in from the top. The one from the right, or from the front of the van, went in through the bottom. And sure enough, you know, when it jumps in the spool like that and somebody keeps pushing the button, it's going to do stuff like this right here. So I'm going to try to clean up this threads here so I can re-spool it. Okay, I just used some of my small files out of that file assortment to kind of run them through the grooves to kind of clean it out. But this spool is torn up a little worse than I've seen in some of the window regulators. I mean, from this view it probably looks pretty good, but there's a couple chunks missing and broken over between the one groove to another, which is going to, like right there. See that? That's going to make it susceptible to jumping or something. There was a couple pieces like this piece right here that was laying in the bottom of here, which I think it's the top piece came off right there, I believe. I think I'm still going to be able to wind it up and just get it to work for shits and giggles, but I'm pretty sure that this otherwise is going to need to be replaced. In this cable, there's a plastic coating over the cable. Who knows, that's probably what causes it to screw up. I found that I still had some of this heavy-duty shifter cable. I think between these two, it's going to be plenty of enough length. I'm going to go ahead and rewind this sucker with a 10-speed shifter cable. Okay, when I put the spool back on, there's one little broken piece. I have to make sure I don't pull too much of this cable out or it doesn't want to wind in. So I put this little crimp piece on here just for a guide for when I put it back together, so I know that's the stop. But typically with this, I noticed that this is motor, unlike the one in the window, this has clutches and everything in it, so the spool will spin freely when it's not being driven, because you can manually, you know, open and close the door. So if you obviously, if you pull on the door this way, it's just going to spool it that way. Of course, those of you that are just found my video to want to know how to take this out and replace it, you're not going to do what I'm doing here, which is I'm respooling this with new cable because I can, and just because. But normally you're going to go to the dealership and you're going to buy this new section, and you're going to just simply bolt it back in place and not do any of the stuff I'm about to do. All right, I hope this Mickey Mouse setup works. So door manually can go open and closed. And I hope the spool lasts. So now, I guess I'm going to go reinstall it, and after I put this cap back on, put that on for the guides, and then when I reinstall it, just hopefully it works. Because I don't have a very good feeling about this, just the way that was torn up. And just trying to make sure I have the proper pre-tension on those springs is just a guess, even though I think it looks pretty good. 10-speed shifter cables for a bicycle. So I don't know, even if it works, I'm still gonna go check and see how much a new one of those cost. What do you guys guess? About 300 bucks? Okay, I am running out of light, so I just bolted in the rail assembly. And then what you do, and this is a pain in the ass, we got to put this bracket back in. You just kind of hooks back into the rail here, then 3 bolts, 10 millimeter, goes back behind this trim here. Should be able to latch. There it goes, stays there until you pull the handle. The handle unlatches, that is what that does. Well, it opened once and then it broke, so I just put it back together, clipped off the cable. The cable is cut loose, and it is now manual. So opens and shuts just fine. It's actually faster than using the electric. And we opened this door for that daughter anyway, so I probably won't even buy the new part for a while, but there you go. That's how to change that assembly.